Hello! We are 2 minutes late for the first time since ever.
Hey,
But
Arlemi.
hey, Joyce, how's it going?
Good. I'm gonna
Hello!
tweet. I'm gonna tweet.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
so
talk to me while I do this tweet.
this is our sixth time on Twitch, as you've probably seen in the title, and we're getting worse and worse at this. But it's probably it's probably one of these weird learning curve where we get confident that we can start on time and have everything set up at some point, and we realize it's not the case, so we need to get ready earlier. So bear with us as we learn how to handle Twitch. And today, hey Andy, yeah, tweet is the tweet out, Joyce.
I just tweeted. Where are you seeing chat? Oh no,
You
my
don't have
win.
chat out. What? Um, cool. So today, what are we gonna do today? What we're hoping to be able to do is get some data about the Starlink satellites, which have been out in the wild for quite a while now. But um, there was some buzz around it last week, I would say, because some people actually managed to see them in the sky just like with their eyes and without the need of any how do you call them, zooming things. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get some data and we're gonna use Postman visualizer to display that on a map. Ideally, we would be able to track something real time, but I think, and we'll see how hard or how easy it was to get live data. But Joyce can talk about that.
No pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we've not introduced ourselves. Joyce, who
Oh
are you?
yeah.
What do you do?
I'm Joyce. I'm a developer advocate based in San Francisco, and I was gonna say it was very foggy today, but now the sun has finally come out.
Lucky you, because over London, it's been cloudy all day. It's not been nice, not gonna lie. And I am Arlemi, developer advocate at Postman as well, and based in the UK. So what we do usually, we start with, in case you missed it, we do in that section is usually going through what's new in Postman. Turns out there's been no release this week because we release every 2 weeks. So it's not that much new, but what I'm going to display just quickly is how you can be aware before we even tell you about it, about what's coming up. And we have a public roadmap, which is pretty cool. So you can just go to our Trello page and I'll post the link in the chat right now for future reference. And everything's there. So whenever we release something, it's going to be posted there and it's going to come with some documentation links, etc. So if you click on there, you have what's going to happen. So this one doesn't have documentation, but some of them will have documentation. For example, this one. And the 3 columns here are near term, so what's coming up in the month, more or less, so in the next 2 releases. Midterm, so up to 6 months, and then planning is something that we have on the backlog. And feature request is stuff that people have asked for, but we're not yet considering. We're looking for more feedback from users on use cases, etc. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the release notes that we have, not here, but on our website, right here. Again, whether you're using the Mac, the Windows, or Linux app, or Newman, all the info is here, all the bug fixes, all the feature that we've been releasing, etc. You can find it here.
And you can actually see those. I think you can see those in the app as well.
You can see those in the app. I'll show that. Let me just switch workspace, and then if you click, oh wait, I think it's in help. Or where is it actually? I don't even know. How do you see it in the app?
It's in the settings on the far side.
Yes. So you can go to the top right, click settings, and then you have release notes here. And it's the same content, but it's going to be, if you're on Windows like I am, you're going to see stuff for Windows. If you're on Linux, etc., you're going to see different stuff. With that said, should I hand it over to you?
In case you missed it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I was like, I can't see the chat. I just didn't have it expanded. So yes, I see it now. And Twitch website is being good, and I can actually see how many people are with us. So hello, everyone. I feel like I can interact with people that are chatting now.
They can see your screen, by the way, so just
Okay,
in case.
awesome. So today we are going to be learning about space things, or rather, Arlemi and I are going to be learning about space things. So if we have any space people in the Twitter or Twitch room, then just like help us out here because this is not. I don't think. Are you a space person, Arlemi?
I am not. I wish I
Do you know
was.
about?
I guess I was when I was a kid. Like there was this whole, I wanted to know more, and then I just learned about computers, and I was like, why would I be interested in the sky? I can just.
You had to pick one or the other.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
there's this new technology company called SpaceX, that is, they do space things, kind of like NASA, but like they do a lot of technology. And so SpaceX has this thing where they're doing Starlink satellites. They're launching tons of Starlink satellites, satellites about the size of my desk. You can actually see, I have a Twitter feed of this technology company SpaceX here. This is their Falcon 9, I think, Falcon 9 rocket going up into space, and then they're like letting loose these flat-packed satellites, and they're all connected by umbilical cord, so it's 60 at a time, where they're just gonna scooch out, and you can kind of see them almost starting to expand already. But then the ones on the ends are gonna have little boosters that go poop, 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 and then they're gonna spread out across in a big like orbit. And
Do you think
eventually
it's in
these
their specification file when they create the thing? We need rockets that go boop 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 boop.
boop, boop. It's actually like putting little like thrusters to adjust its positioning, and then these are low orbit, or low orbit, the ones that are closer to the Earth, low Earth orbit satellites, and then they're going to provide internet access to people that like don't have the underground like wires and all the other types of satellites and that kind of stuff. So this is yes. Boop, 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 boop. This is going to be how SpaceX offers internet. And so these Starlink satellites is what we are going to be tracking. Pretty cool. This is what it looks like coming out of the rocket.
Do you know how many
And
there is?
60 at a time. And currently they've had a few different launches. So they have like 300 or 400 satellites that are all encircling the Earth in low orbit. And I have like these other, see this website? Somebody created a website that allows you, here, do you see these little guys going across?
Yep.
Yeah, those are the satellites, and they're all kind of like Santa's reindeer going through the sky. And if you're from Earth and you're looking up at a certain time where it's going overhead, you can actually see this with your bare eye. And here's another website I have here. Like, here's where I am. You can kind of see I'm on the coast of California, but hopefully this doesn't display my actual street address, but this is what it would look like outside this street view. So a lot of people are building off this data, but SpaceX doesn't have a public API that allows you to track the satellites or know historic data. But there is, I think in one of our earlier live streams, we talked about a guy, and I forget his name, out of Houston. Let me see if I pull it up. Let me just see. SpaceX API. Yeah, so this person, is there a name here? What?
Is that an official?
This is an unofficial SpaceX API.
Okay.
And this person has a run in Postman button so you can interact with all the SpaceX data that is already publicly available, but like now you can programmatically get it with this API. So no official API, and I don't really know too much about satellites. So where do you think, don't look at my tabs, Arlemi. Where do you think I went to get data? Where would you have gone to get data about this?
You Google and then use keywords with data.
Yeah. So Googling is only as good as the Googler.
Yeah.
And I was not able to find data on my own about Starlink satellite coordinates and stuff like that. So I went to go ask Reddit. So I was like, hey guys, is there a Starlink API? And I was asking this in our SpaceX lounge, which if you're not like a super like space heavy person, this people actually answered me, and I was so like pleased that a lot of people provided information about different data sources. So the one that I took was this file, and you can see hopefully you can see the URL highlighted when I hover over
Yep.
it. So it's less track. And then fill in the blank said, oh, this data is going to be given as 2-line elements. And I'm like, what the heck's that? Do you know that? Do you know space
Nope.
things? Yeah, it's like it's science and math and like astronomy and it's like all sorts of stuff.
I actually knew like how
So
to recognize constellations and stuff. That's how far I went, but I didn't go into the actual tech tech bit of it, like rockets and stuff.
I know the Big Dipper. That's the one I know, constellation.
Yeah. I I don't know the names in English.
And I know
That's a
what
spoon.
it's like a big spoon, yeah.
Yeah. so that
Big
is that the
spoon.
one?
Versus the Little Dipper, which would probably be Little Spoon.
Yep. Exactly.
And I also know astronomy is different than astrology because, like, in California, a lot of people believe in astrology, but it's like I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not actually like science, I don't think.
Ooh.
Is this guy French? Are
Who
you
is?
French, Arlemi?
I am French.
What gave it away, Quantum?
Oh, actually, I don't actually have the chat up anymore.
Oh, I finally found the chat, so I'm leaving it open
Yep, I have
permanently.
it now.
Okay, so back to the Starlink satellites. Our SpaceX Lounge, I asked the question and fill in the blanks provided this information. Celeste Track, I was like, who the heck is Celeste Track? It's actually like a single person that gathers this data and does like important like computations and provides this information in this very helpful uh, like what is this, right? So if we just look at this information, Starlink 31 is the name of a satellite. There's 2 rows of information that looks like gibberish. I'm like, what the heck is that? That's TLE information that we just like looked at the wiki and you're reading it and you're like, what the heck? Simplified perturbations models, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about that, but I was able to Google. So I wasn't able to Google successfully at first, but then eventually I was able to Google successfully to say, how do you turn TLE data into coordinates? Because we want to visualize it according to us, because we're egocentric people and we want to be able to see um, where the satellite is over the Earth. Okay, I could probably bring up a couple like visuals here, but I fell into a hole of space research. Like earlier this week, I just did all this research. And let me explain to you, oh my gosh, if there's any science people on here, this is going to be horrifying and humiliating. But if you, oh my gosh, I was going to use my fist, but I have the snack from later. So here's an orange, okay? So if you picture the orange as the Earth, it's mostly round. And if you were to peel the orange and then open up the peel and then look at it this way, this is what map Arlemi, you're going to be visualizing this orange peel, right?
Yep.
But then the satellites are in low orbit, circling around. They're like going around. And so where is it directly over the flat orange peel? It's actually not one for one. And being able to track the thing flying through space, you saw the little Santa's reindeer, being able to track that is much harder and requires much more data than just an X and a Y coordinate.
Yep.
And then like if you think about the axis, the fuzzy part of the orange, like your orange is spinning like this, but it's not really spinning like this. It's spinning like wiggledy woggly, right? And then now you have like space debris or the sun doing like a solar flare. And now it's like, whoop, now I'm moving slightly differently. So all these different factors make it incredibly difficult to track. And in fact, the data set that I'm using, they qualify it by saying like, it's really not the best way to use the data. But
We
we're going to do it.
we definitely
Science.
need a learn science with choice section, something like that as
Well,
well.
I'm probably misstating or like misrepresenting a lot of things. So if there's science people in the chat room, please let us know science facts. I will subscribe. Okay, so this is the data that we're looking at. And I found one, go ahead and close this one. I found one Python library. So Arlemi, do you know Python? Have you coded in Python or used some of those?
I have coded in Python, yes, but long ago, like mainly in like Jupyter notebooks. stuff like that.
Yeah, I figured you're like machine learning-y, so you
Yeah.
probably have dabbled with Python. Oh gosh, so we're going to try to code something in Python today. This is the Python library. There's a few out there because Python's good for like high data computation manipulation stuff is where we find most of our libraries here. And I know we've been just doing a bunch of stuff in JavaScript. You'll get some JavaScript today from Arlemi, but today we're going to visit Skyfield. And so this is, I
So
think this is by one guy. Like I think his name's like Brandon Rhodes or something. He has this in a couple other libraries. He must be like super smart because like these are like very complicated. Like I can't even explain it to you. Okay, so let's just go to the table of
there's
contents.
a question for you in the chat.
Yeah.
Are there satellites with
Oh no.
APIs we can play with?
Are there satellites with APIs we can play with? Well, we have the R SpaceX API that allows you to track like launch data, launch location that we had up earlier with the GitHub. So there is a lot of information like that, but for the purposes of mapping like a location, I think this is going to be our best bet.
And then there's a strong opinion about Python 2.7, which
I am
is
so, how
which
did,
is
oh my God, you
the
saw it at the bottom.
the best version of Python, by the way.
Yeah, so they're deprecating Python 2. Everyone and their mother's onto Python 3, but I learned Python 2 and I'm just set up my new computer, so we're gonna do it and ignore all the errors. I actually don't know the difference between 2 and 3, so I could be like, if somebody's, oh, years ago, yes, thank you. Thanks, Quantum. Well, if you want to help me do the Python part, we will at you or tag you. Okay, so let's get any questions about the library that we're going to be using. Smart guy, astronomy, math, science.
Keywords.
That's TLDR. Okay, so remember the data that we're looking at, okay, looks like this. This is the Starlink data. It's TLE format, and we actually want to translate it into coordinates like latitude and longitude to be earthly. Okay. So I think I looked at this earlier, and only because the link is already highlighted, that means I clicked it earlier. Earth satellites. Let me move your head, Arlemi. Predict the positions from TLE files published by organizations like Celestrak. Perfect, right? Finding and loading satellite elements. This is a little code snippet that says these are the dependencies that you'll need, and then you can actually load in a URL like this. Perfect. This looks like what we're looking for. But we actually want to translate the TLE data into coordinates. So if I back out here and go back to the table of contents, they have an API reference, position method attributes. I'm really only looking at the links that I've already previously clicked. Oh, maybe this positions and coordinates. Okay, so maybe
Looks
this is how,
interesting.
I know, that looks interesting. Positions and coordinates. So here's some, oh yes, I remember. Okay, so here's like science words. Blah, blah, planets. Stars. Oh, Earth satellites. Okay, Earth satellites is what we were looking at earlier. This is how we can more accurately translate TLE two-line element data into coordinates. Okay, so it looks like these are the dependencies that we'll need. This looks like line 1 and line 2 of the TLE data, and they're doing some stuff with it, and then they're coming up with lat and long. Okay,
And
let's just
elevation
cut.
as well. That's pretty cool.
They have what?
Elevation, which means if we had like a 3D mapping of it, and we could like flatten the map, then we could see. I guess at that distance, it's probably not the best way to do it, but it's pretty interesting to have the elevation anyway.
What mapping library are you using?
What mapping? Can't remember. Mapbox, something like that.
Do you want topographical information?
Let's not.
Okay. Okay. So all I did was copy this to my clipboard, and I'm going to move over to my Python 2 editor. So I'm in this repo with nothing in there. I'm going to create a script. So script.py, I'm going to go ahead and paste in my code snippet. And oh boy, the Python is rusty with this one right here. But I've previously installed some dependencies, and I think Python's slightly different, where if you just install it, like pip install it, then it's available globally.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And you have to like jam it into like a requirements file, like a package.json, and then pull it out to install. Is that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So I am not going to show you me installing it already because I've already installed the Skyfield API. Just know that it works, and know that, yes, I am on Python version 2. Forgive me. Okay, so what we're doing here is that we have line 1 and line 2. This is hard-coded data. Let's see. And this is going to do some stuff, but what I want to do is see if it can, and print is double equals to console log. So let's see if we can't print out latitude and longitude and if this is what we want. Right? Oh, don't lynch me. Okay, so I'm just going to Python run this script. Okay, it's doing some stuff, and it looks like latitude.
Yeah, so you get the 4 things, right? That it would... Oh no, you're only printing latitude and longitude.
Yeah.
The 14.8 and the 35.5 do look like latitude and longitude. The degree and the... I don't know, was the 11?
So in America, you would think this is like 11 feet, 14 inches. But I looked this up. It's actually the hours and minutes. Okay. So this is lat, but we're used to seeing it in degrees, right? Do you want me to just pass this in? Oh, in degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, minutes and seconds. Yes.
I actually didn't know like you could display latitude and longitude like this. That's interesting.
Quantum coming through with the science. Okay. So, you want me to pass it like this, or would you like me to turn it into like degrees?
Yeah, I'd rather if you can give me like the good old 2 numbers.
Like the decimal thingy? Okay. So I believe if we look at all these science words, there is one called degrees, and this will give it to you. This is like a method that will turn it into something like that. Is this what you want, Arlemi?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's just see what that looks like when we scooch back over here. If we go dot degrees, and then run it again. Oh no. VS Code. Don't lynch me. Okay. Yeah. That looks familiar. I don't actually know lat long that well, so I don't know like where this is. Oh, is this Boston maybe? The delta, I think what this is showing us is the ISS Zarya hard-coded satellite, and like how far away it is from Boston maybe? I don't know. This exact code snippet is not exactly what we're looking for.
Yep.
And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and we don't actually, like, no one here is in Boston. Quantum, tell us something. Minutes and seconds are like on a clock. Yeah, Quantum is killing it here. Okay, so elevation, you don't want elevation today, right?
I will not use elevation, no.
Okay, we need subpoint because latitude uses subpoint. We need to keep geometry because subpoint uses geometry. Okay, so now we want to load in our Celeste track data, which I believe we had a snippet earlier, but I navigated away from that page. Where would it be? It was under Earth satellites, I thought. Finding and loading, probably. What?
It was purple for some reason.
Oh. Yeah.
Curl it.
Yeah, so NORAD in at least the US is the science, I think they're science organization. I assume they are. So the only reason why NORAD sounds familiar to me is because every Christmas in the US, all the weather news stations have weather tracking, the Doppler radar. I don't even know. I know the word Doppler, but anyways, they track Santa's reindeer. NORAD is the group responsible for tracking Santa's reindeer, the heavy science lifting. Okay, so this one says we need topos and load, which if we look at our script, we already have topos and load. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Stations UR satellites and print it. Okay, so let's just take this snippet and plop it in here. Okay, so stations URL, we'll call it a Starlink URL, and that's the Celeste track .txt. Oh, I guess I could have just changed this one. It's probably the same.
Yep. Do you know how often this is updated?
I don't know how often it's updated, but it's updated since yesterday.
Okay.
So what happens, like we were talking about earlier, the positioning of these satellites gets like all out of whack. So, I mean.
Yes, we are doing copy-paste driven development. a lot of it.
Okay, and then this is going to be the satellites. We're using load.tle_file function to load in Starlink URL. What if people showed up to this live stream expecting us to like code and know things?
From scratch? Oh, no way. Why would we do that?
Guys, this will take 30 minutes while I install upgrade to Python 3 and find out how to do everything in Python 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you did set up Python before because it can get very messy.
It was actually pretty easy. I think it comes pre-installed. And I thought pip would have been with it too, but I had to install pip. Oh, we love you too, Quantum. All right, so satellites is going to be the loaded up file. So it should be this information we see in the background here. And then there's a simple print statement to see if we did that correctly. Okay, so I'm going to comment out this, actually, I think it should still work because I just added code. I didn't delete anything. Well, it might or might not work. Let's see. God, it looks so weird. Okay, it loaded 421 satellites. So I told you 300 to 400 satellites. That's how many are out there in this kind of like symbiosis. Okay. So what do we want to do now?
Give it to me.
Well, we don't actually have the information yet. We've loaded the information into the script, and we have this. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at the time. Okay, my goal today, I have a snack, orange snack, but my goal today is not to go as long as we did last time, so let me step up the pace. So this is hard-coded. We don't want this.
Yeah.
And in fact, I don't think we want any of this right here. So what we need to do is, Loop over it. Okay, so why don't we see what that data looks like? Print satellites? Does that sound like a waste of our time?
No. Okay. I guess it would look like what we had on the website, right? Like on the text file.
Like this? Okay, let's see. What? Okay, did I spell something wrong?
Yep. Satellites. Name satellites is not defined. At which line? Line 19. Oh.
Satellite.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this was hard coding one example, but here we need to, okay, I guess we need to loop through everything. So let's go ahead and loop through everything. So the other day I had to Google for loop Python because it looked so weird to my eye. And in fact, let me test you now, Arlemi. Do you know how to write a for loop? Does anyone know? Oh. Copy paste driven. Tranmanyo.
Yeah, it's Stack Overflow driven for me.
I did actually go to Stack Overflow. They have a nice space category that was helpful. that pointed me in the right direction a couple times. So let me go ahead and loop through. Since nobody knows how to, oh, okay, Quantum knows how to loop through something. For I'm spelling satellite wrong, aren't I? For satellite in
Satellites.
Satellites. Oops. Colon. Do stuff. So what do we want to do? Oh, let's just print satellite. I think we wanted to do satellite. Am I high? Okay, so print satellite. And then we want to move all of this information under there as well, because this is what screamed an error before. So I'm going to go ahead and copy, but I'm going to leave it there just in case I need it for like the context. So we're taking the geometry, doing some like heavy computation. We are taking the subpoint, the transformation here.
Python, where you really want to indent your code.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
I'll just take this whole thingy down here.
Yeah, I think to reply to the chat about I haven't written Python to literally a decade. Python is like either you've switched to Python 3 a decade ago and then you didn't have to write Python 2, or you stick to Python 2 and then that's why you're still writing it today.
Okay, was it a decade ago?
Probably not a decade ago.
I think that's an exaggeration. I actually don't know.
But also, thanks a lot, Freepad. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but thanks anyway.
It's Freppard. It's Freppard.
But it's from Italy, so it's probably it's grazie mille for sure. And then I don't know how
Italian. I studied Italian.
Oh, you studied Italian.
Okay, let me go. You keep an eye on the chat and let me know if there's anything helpful. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and do the work, Arlemi.
Yep, sorry. I'll stop cutting you off.
No. Actually, tell me if there's something very helpful. So all I'm doing here is looping through the loaded up TLE data, and I'm going to print out every item, and we expect it to look something like this TXT file that we got it from. So I'll go ahead and do that. Oh, okay. Well, this is okay. Is anyone? Oh, do not. You know, I never read these. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so here's the output. It's actually, so I think the TLE underscore file function actually takes that information and does some stuff, and now it's spitting it out as the Earth satellite. Because we found this under the Earth satellite transformation thing. But what I don't see is a bunch of lat long, like all the numbers and like stuff that I would find useful, like is not showing here. But I think it's wrapped up in this Earth satellite. It's so weird. I'm so used to just like printing stuff out and then being able to parse. Like, isn't like Python? I'm not printing them though. Oh, I haven't actually done the computations is what he's saying. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Will this work? I think it will, with Quantum's help. Hey, okay, all right.
Nice.
Okay,
that is good.
We've done what we want. And what is this all the information you want? Latin long?
Yeah, let's do with that for now. I can just put them in the sky.
Okay. Oh, that's poetic. Okay, so I'm going to establish a variable, which I think in Python is like this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, Andy Piper's coming in with more shit talk, probably. Okay.
No, it's actually information about how Python 3 came out in 2008, so it's even more than a decade ago.
Oh, but there's probably less support is what he's saying. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to create this bucket called results and then just toss these long lat longs into there. Results. I had to look up how to like push something onto an array, and they're called lists in Python too. So results is a list, and I'm going to append. Oh wait, actually, VS Code is telling me how to do this. Helpful. Append latitude degrees. Do you care what order they're in?
Yes.
What do you want?
Lat long. So like this is perfect.
Okay. And I believe append only allows you to do one thing at a time. Please help me with Python if there's a better way to do this. Otherwise, I'm doing this like step by step. Can I do Command D to duplicate this line on VS Code? I don't want to do something wrong. I'll just copy and paste. I just set up this computer and VS Code is giving me issues. So latitude, longitude. So actually what we have now is an entire bucket with just a ton of latitude and longitude. So I'm just going to create a separate little list here that says like satellite coordinates, local list, and I'll go ahead and say satcord append. So satcord now has lat, comma long, and then I will go ahead and append, results append. Is this correct? You tilted your head to the side.
Sorry, I was just catching up with what you were reading.
I have 2 degrees.
I was reading the chat on the same time. So.
Oh, don't let me get in the way, Arlemi.
No, there was stuff about just putting it in a file and handling it from there, but it wouldn't be as fun. So that's why we prefer doing it with code.
You mean like write it to a local file?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I use the programming tag when starting the stream, so we have to do some programming. There we go.
When are we going to do the programming?
You're doing the programming. Doing it right now.
You mean writing code?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and then at the end, after we loop through everything, I'm going to print results. So this should be a full bucket. I expect this to be a list of lists. Hi, Xiao Hu CNX. You like how I pronounce people's names with confidence, and you're always apologizing. Okay, all right.
You always have to be careful of reading the name in your head before reading it out loud as well.
In case it's something like dirty.
Yeah. You never know.
Oh, list of lists, list
Nice.
of lists. I don't. Okay.
Lausin. Welcome.
All right. So
and hello.
is this what we want?
Whoa. That's nice. That looks good.
It's a list of lists.
Yep. An array of array?
Yeah, but in Python it's list.
Yep, that looks good. I can do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy this to my clipboard. I had to change the settings on my trackpad too. My finger was hurting.
Oh.
Okay, so I have this on my clipboard, and now I'm going over to Postman. Arlemi, are you in here?
I will be very soon. I am here.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create an environment. I could like Slack this to you. I could create a data file, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and create a Starlink environment with satellite coordinates of chala. And then I'll hit reset all to scooch it over to current value and hit add. And now when I select this in active environment, I have all my data in there. Okay.
Cool.
I think that's all you need from me, right?
Well, if I miss something, I'll let you know for sure.
Okay, I'll stay on the line then in case you need anything. Otherwise, I'll just go.
Yep.
I'll just go take it out. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, let me share my screen. We have a very international stream today. It makes me happy.
Agadir, Morocco, cool.
And yeah, we will pass all these for sure. We'll get to that right now. So I'm just starting my Belgium. Just starting my Postman, and I'm gonna create a new collection where we'll be able to do visualization. First thing first, I'm just gonna select the same environment that Joyce just created. And there we go. We have the data here, and I can use that in my collection. So create new collection. How should we call that one?
Starlink.
Starlink.
Tracker.
I like that. There's no all caps here. Cool. Yeah, it's just like the Santa tracker. Perfect. Just like the Santa tracker. Okay, so let me unpin that one. We're not going to play with this one and put this one at the top. Add a request. I'll call that one visualization, and I'll save to it. And here we go. Cool. So I have your data, and I'm going to use visualizers. So let's go to the documentation. So for those of you who have attended previous streams, you'll see a lot of repeat in the setup. So like copy pasting the code from the documentation for using visualizer, which is just initiating a template and getting the data. So it says, oh yeah, if you haven't used Postman in a year, there's a lot of stuff that's new since then, and including visualizer that we've released. When have we released that? Last November? And yes,
the last 3 times I've used Visualizer, I've had to like look up the documentation. So kudos to the documentation, very helpful.
So what does it say? It says creates a template. So I need to create a template that I'm gonna copy and paste again. We do love some copy pasting. And it says, actually, I haven't shown that. Let me go back and slow down a bit. How do you add it? You add it to the pre-request or test script, and you use the PM API and the visualizer function to set your data. So let's go to tests on Postman and set a template. So we're not going to use this one. This one is just a table. We want some Google map. And the other thing that it says is to get the data or to send it to your template so it can be used there, you need to use pm.visualizer.set. So we're going to paste that. And the thing is here, this is the data that is passed to my template, but I do not want to use pm.response, which would get the response from whichever API I would call in Postman, but I'm going to get it from the environment because that's where Joyce put it. So I'm already going to start with that and put it very simple.
The last few times we got it from the API response.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and do fetch with extra steps, indeed.
But it's fetching in the Postman sandbox. That's what's cool.
pm.environment.get, and I think your variable is called, no, it's called sat chords.
Sat chords.
Boom. Oh, I need to stop saying boom because.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, my bad. I'm learning. Okay, so this is.
And the boom.
It's passed to my template, and if I were, so how do I get the data in the template again? It says in the doc that if you want to get your data, you're using. Where does it say that actually?
There's 2 ways you can get it.
Oh, there you go. Access
data. One is that way, yeah.
Yep. So 2 ways. One is calling pm.getData, and that's probably what we're going to use because we're going to be in script. And the other one.
I'll answer chat questions while you do work.
Okay, you're on the chat. Okay, so let's say I need pm.getData with 2 parameters, error and data. So let's do pm. Actually, I'll roll back a bit. Let's start with setting our map, and then we can put the data on there. But first, we do need a map. So I did look at a lot of different libraries for that. Some of them you had to pay for. Some of them were based on Google Maps, and the Maps API is a struggle. So the one that I found is an open source one, and we do love open source here, which is called Leaflet. So if you look at what they do this kind of stuff, which is exactly what we're looking for. A map, and so for us, I guess we're going to have a map like this, and instead of 1 point, we'll have plenty of points that are going to show where the satellites are.
We'll have 400 some points.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of points, and probably we'll be able to see a map under them, hopefully. So how do we do that? It says you need to create a map, and put layer, but there's probably more to it. I'll probably need to import a library. So I'm going to go to the quick start guide. Okay, prepping my page. Let's do, there's so much stuff happening on the chat.
Oh wait, I'm peeling my orange. I'll get it.
Leaflet is nice, cool.
I do like Leaflet. It's actually really easy to get started. It's like the chart.js of maps.
So it says to include a Leaflet CSS file in the head section of your document. So we can create, or like we can replicate a web page like this and say that's going to be. So the fun part here is that I'm going to code without any auto-completion or anything like this. And coding HTML without auto-completion is painful. So in the head section, I put my CSS. That's cool. What else do I need to do? The JavaScript file after the CSS. Copy paste again and paste it there. Cool. And then put a div element in my body element. So I'm going to go back here and put my map somewhere here. And it needs to have a defined height. So I'm going to go ahead and just do inline CSS, which is beautiful. Do mean height of 100.
Oh my God, I've been answering chat. I haven't been paying attention.
It's fine. Hopefully.
You just brought in the library?
So I brought in the library CSS and script, and then I created a div element with a mean height of the viewport, like the height of the viewport. So it takes the whole thing, and we don't have a small map in the middle of the page.
Okay, cool.
Now, setting up the map. So I'm guessing I'll have to, it doesn't actually say, but I'm guessing I have to create a script in which I'll do all my computation. Let's create a map of London. We pretty much, okay, so initialize the map and set its view to our chosen geographical coordinates and the zoom level. So if I put that here, this is the right ID. And it says, it sets the view, so it's going to go to that latitude and longitude, which apparently is London, and with a zoom of 13. So there's, I think in Leaflet, there's, I don't know how many zoom that you can set up, but probably plenty. And this says how zoomed in you are, just like you would go on Google or like actually in Postman and click Control and plus, and it just keeps on zooming. Is that it? No, I'm missing the actual map, don't I? Ah, there we go. So we need a layer. So I'm gonna copy paste this. It's a Magbox street style layer. So I need to set up a URL template, which is probably this one that will need an access token, which I've created already. So I'm gonna take this and hide my screen while I do that.
Secret shield.
Not yet though. Let me get this and import it. Okay, so I have title layer. Okay, I'll set the secret shield on. Cool. You can't see. Oop, my box access token. So I'm copying this access token and I'm going to paste it back to Postman right here. So replacing the placeholder with my access token. Cool. That looks good.
Wait, you're hard coding your access.
I don't. Can you use variables in there in the template? Do you know?
You can if it's in a script and if it's PM, which you are, and you can do PM. You can use pm.getData. So why not use pm.environment.get?
True. Okay, let's do that. So while I'm sitting on the shield, yeah.
That way you can show people your code still.
Yeah, I was going to still show it, but yeah. So I'm going to create a new environment. Again, you can't see really exactly what I'm doing just because I have.
Tell us with words what you're doing.
Token there. So I'm creating a new environment variable called token, and I'm setting the value to my token. So I'm going to update this
And you're only using current value, so I can't see your private secret.
Yep. And now here you're saying I can do pm.environment.get of my token. So I'm guessing I have to go out of the string, right? Because this is a string.
If it's string substitution, you might have to.
So I can do like this. And that should do. Okay, so I can actually remove my secret shield. So what I've done, I've set up my environment variable. It's at the top there. You can't see it. And now I'm going to try and access it using pm.environment.get of my token like this. Cool. So that should work. Let's set up a random URL here. Doesn't really matter, but it needs one, so I'm able to send this. So if I send that and go to the visualize tab here, I have a gray map. So I'm guessing something happened. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here and click inspect visualization. And that opens just the same developer tools that you would have on Chrome. And I can see cannot read property get of undefined.
Oh no.
pm.environment. So it's not finding pm.environment. Did I mistype it? No. I will be using my token here just for the sake of saving time. I'll paste it here and I will revoke it as soon as the stream is over.
Quantum's giving you shit about not using string literals. But there's a var there, so like we want to have consistency.
Just check if that's okay. So.
Oh, interesting. But I think we can solve it. But yeah, this looks beautiful.
It's a nice map. It takes the whole viewport, so I'm happy with that. And I can even see the
Well, you're zooming too fast. It's making me sick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I am using var because I copy pasted, but let's do good old.
No, now you're just mixing syntaxes.
Yeah, I'm updating everywhere. Look at that. This is good. This is good. Okay. This tier works. Beautiful. Okay, now we can start playing with the data. So let's see. It says in the documentation.
So you just have a blank map. You just wanted to render the map.
Have a blank map. It says if I want to add a marker, so markers, circles, and polygons, I need to create a marker with parameters being the latitude and longitude, which is perfect because that's what you're giving me. So I'll just copy this over to my script. So let's say I was just to send that one. I would have a marker right in Southwark. Yep. Okay, so now the fun stuff. Putting real data in there. Let's do pm.getData, which takes.
Okay, so you're in the script, and that's how come you can use pm.getData?
Yep. And so remind me, it takes 2 parameters, right?
I learned from last time. It's an anonymous function that requires 2 parameters. So just function.
I can't type.
I think there's a C in there somewhere. Funct.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Function. And then it takes 2 parameters: error, comma, data.
And then whatever goes in there. And I'm gonna close.
We learned.
Okay, so if here I console log data, I should be seeing
list of lists, or here array of arrays.
What's your guess? What should I be seeing?
Can you scroll down a little in the script?
Yeah. That's. I think somebody.
Yeah. I think somebody said you might need to parse it.
Yeah, we will probably parse it after. So let's see what this says. Okay, so I do have a response, which is a string. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it straight from here. I can pass the data I'm getting from the environment variable and therefore, whatever I'm getting in here is already passed. So if I send that again and inspect, I have an object response, and good. It's an array of arrays. Perfect. So let's do. So what is the chat? Chat is getting very mad about var const. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna do var array or var starlinks equals.
You just switched to a different syntax.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's the point.
Okay.
No, just kidding. What am I gonna do now? I don't even need to create a. I can do data.response.forEach, and I can get an element.
And you're using response because
when we looked at the here, so the arrays were in the object dot response, so I had to go down to here.
Because that's how you passed it from the pm.visualizer.set?
Yeah, like
okay.
right here. So for each element, I'm gonna do. Can we use error data? Good question. I'm guessing yes.
Try it.
Let's do.
Oh, because we're on that new syntax now? Yes, what are we on now? Fat arrow, fat arrow.
Okay, and here, let me just try and console log my element and see what it returns. This is Electron indeed. Okay, inspect. Okay.
Ooh.
Beautiful.
An array of arrays.
Arrays of arrays. And we can just access directly element 0, element 1. Actually, it does say it. Yeah. So we're going to copy this over in my loop. And I'm going to replace that with let. So my marker is going to be, this is going to be element of 0. So my latitude. Lat, and here I'm going to have long, so L of 1.
Launch.
That looks correct.
So you're looping over the response property of what you passed from down below, and then you're instantiating a marker with the capital L bit, and that's the required parameters, and then you're instantiating it and then adding.
Yeah, and adding to the map.
Okay, cool. Ooh, what's going to happen?
Send this. It's still zoom in London, so I guess if we zoom out. I see a point. 2 points, 3 points. Yep, looks about right.
Oh. Zoom in a little bit.
Let's zoom in on Europe. I don't think. Actually, you can see. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, if you zoom out, that's actually.
You can see you can see lines of. This. So I guess is that when they follow each other.
So what they do is they launch these Starlink satellites in batches of 60, and when the 60 go out, they spread out. So this is them kind of like pooting and like separating and following each other like the Santa's reindeer.
Yeah, you can see another line here. Okay, that's cool. That was surprisingly easy considering how we struggled with visualizer.
Oh, look at the time! Look at the time!
Look, oh, we're right on time.
The end.
Bye, guys. Yeah, the end. So we could do. It would be interesting, and one thing I would like to do, I'll probably do it later, and when we publish the collection for later consumption, filter by, because you had the satellite's name, right?
Yeah. So something that I was trying to look up before we met is that because everything goes out in a batch of a launch of 60 satellites at a time, if I could find out which satellites are associated with this particular launch, then you can actually see it. See the line, I was going to use a math word, but I don't know math words, like a cosine or like a wave kind of thing. And so you could actually localize by like the latest launch, Starlink, and then over time you can go back to an older launch and see how they spread out and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that, so the by time, and what I wanted to do is, because they have unique names, right? So if you track the life of one satellite, kind of filter by name. and
You can
see.
track, you can plot your house on another marker, Arlemi. Tell us where you live.
Okay, so I live somewhere in Belgium, right there.
But you can see when the next time it you can so that's what that code snippet that we found earliest from Skyfield was, just to see like when something would be overhead. And that's what people are building, these web apps that are like, if I go outside at 5 in the morning, I think like sometime this week, and I just look up, I can see this with my bare eye. With my bare eyes.
Yeah, I think one thing. So one thing that would be interesting, and if we can get it for another time, like we had to do data, and it's good, but it's static data. But if we could get an API, so if anyone knows an API that gets us like live data, then we could consume it and we could run that request every, like, I don't know how many seconds or something, and
Arlemy,
get.
I was gonna offer this as an API, but I don't know the space etiquette because remember this is Celeste tracks data,
Yeah.
and then I didn't know if people wanted this data because it's so um, ambiguous. It's so like such a shot in the dark. I don't know what people would use with this data, but I mean, Postman has like, cloud platforms that we can spin this up and just like provide it to people if they build cool things.
Yep.
So if anybody wants this as an API, let us know. Otherwise, we won't offer it as an API.
No, I do not live in Belgium. That was a joke. And I do not know about a request animation frame. Let's just quickly. I'm just going to do that. And
What is that emoji? I don't understand these emojis.
forehead is, how do I explain forehead? It's kind
Frep,
of
Freppard, we are hiring.
a
We are
big brain.
absolutely hiring. Big brain?
Yeah. I'm not gonna Google forehead right now, but you can do it on your own computer because your screen is not shared. And you're gonna learn about forehead. Okay, that is cool. Yeah, we could definitely use that. Yeah, we are actually, now that we're pretty much done with that. I'm just going to run through one last time what I did, which was getting the data from what Joyce gave me, pass it as a parameter to visualizer.set. And in here, I've created a page. So libraries imported in the head, and then in the body, I've created a tag where I can initialize my map, set the view. I could actually change that to default to something else, or change the zoom. I'm actually going to change the zoom to be zoomed out more. And then all I'm doing is looping through the data that I'm getting from Joyce, so that she had saved in the environment, creating a marker for each of these data points and showing it on the map. So if I send this, again, it should be zoomed out now. Yeah, so it was already zoomed out more by default, which is better. And that's it. And before we close the stream, do you have anything that you want to talk about, Joyce? I'm just going to go to our job page because there was a request about that. So at least people
Yeah,
can see it.
we are heavily hiring right now. So if anybody's remotely interested, lots of different positions open. But one thing I did want to say is that this, if you're interested in space stuff, our SpaceX Lounge is where people answered my question and gave me access, or like pointed me in the right direction for data. So if you're kind of interested in space stuff, but you don't want to get roasted on Reddit, our SpaceX Lounge is actually very friendly. And thank you to I don't have the username up here right now, but like thank you to those people that tried to point me in the right direction and were very, very patient and helpful. So it just takes a village, and check out our SpaceX Lounge.
Cool. Let me just check. Do we have another thing where you can check what's coming up is our community forum, and I'm just going to check if I'm missing anything that's coming up in events. So we had a webinar yesterday. No, I think we have secret weapon to demystifying fintech with Yodlee. Anyway.
Well, that's mine. That's mine.
I'd never heard of that one before. But yeah, all the events that are coming up are here. And let me check if we missed anything on the chat before. Where is my chat? It's right there. It's all in Ninja NSF.
Oh, hi, Andy Piper.
There should be some remote position, but we'll check. I mean, Right now we're all remote anyway, but yeah, I think we're hiring. Yeah, I was pretty sure we're hiring all across the globe. So I'll double check, and you can you can ping us on Twitter or something with your skill set as well, and we can see if we have any match. That's probably the easiest. I think that's it. Let me switch to that side. Last words.
Oh, look, it's me. So next week, I think we have our first person that isn't me or Arlemi participating. So stay tuned for that. And then the week after that, we have our first person that doesn't work at Postman. So we're starting to get some guests from the community involved. If you have an idea for some project or even a topic that you want to hear us stream about, just go ahead and let us know on Twitter, and we'll try to take a look.
Yeah, it can be anything. So we're looking at all industries, and I'm actually trying to look at how I could do something gaming related. So hopefully I can get that out at some point. That would be nice. And that's it. Thank you all for sticking around with us, helping us a lot. And so you can have the link to upcoming event. If you just look down on the page, there's an event section, and you can click on there, and it's gonna show it to you. So I believe, right? Let me just double check our page so I don't leave you with false information. Yeah, if you go down the page, you can click on upcoming events, and it's going to lead you to the community forum. Cool. All that said, you all have a good day, evening, morning, night.
It's true.
We'll see you next time.
See you in a week. Bye.
Bye-bye.